schedule has kept the Belleville Sens podcast off the air for an extra week, but we are back this week with just a couple of games to go until the holiday break. The Senators still sitting in the middle of the pack in the North Division, but they're not far from the top. And again, a strong push through into 2025 will certainly help the Sens to get them into an excellent spot with the spring playoff push just a few months away now. Belleville had their 5-game win streak end this week. They had a couple of tough results on home ice, and we'll chat about that. We'll also catch you up on that 5-game streak because we didn't have a show last week after an outstanding trip to Winnipeg for the guys, and we want to make sure we talk about what the team was able to accomplish out there. And, of course, lots going on around the rink as well. The World Junior Camps are open here at Quinte Sports and Wellness Center. We've got the pre-tournament game coming up, a whole bunch of transactions, lots to talk about this week. David Foot, Brock Ormond here. Tim Durkin will be by throughout the course of the hour because we had our Belleville Bulls Tribute Game presented by Mackey Insurance this past weekend, so we want to get you some of the audio from that special event as well. That will be our feature interviews this week. But again, Brock, you know, anytime a 5-game losing skid ends and then you frankly have a bad weekend, the mood might not be so great coming back to the rink on a Monday or Tuesday morning, but doesn't seem to be the case. The Belleville Sens look like they are ready and focused for another couple of important games this week.
Yeah, for sure, and it's all about bouncing back from the valleys you're in over the course of a season, and Belleville has shown they can prove their resilience over the course of not just this season, but the last couple as well, with how they've rebounded from tough games. And the Rochester Americans did have it all over the Sens on the weekend. Pretty close game on Friday, a 7-4 loss. It was decided by an empty netter, but then a real tough night on Saturday in a game that the Sens couldn't have really afforded to lose against a Rochester team that is just staying just ahead of them inside the North Division, but still a really outstanding atmosphere on the weekend, and a couple pretty good crowds, including a sellout on Saturday, so that was outstanding. Yeah,
first sellout of the season for our Belleville Bulls Tribute Game presented by Mackey Insurance. We'll get to this weekend, and you know, there's not a whole lot that I think we're going to get into too much detail about on the ice just because of the fact it wasn't a great weekend, as we say. Belleville got outscored, 15-6, I think, over 2 games, and just, off weekend, I suppose. But that was not the case last weekend out in Manitoba. Sens went out to play the Moose for a couple games, their only visit there. And again, this was coming off of that trip to Bridgeport the previous week, and finished off that 5-game road swing with a pair of 3-0 comeback victories. On the Saturday night on the Friday night, and then the Saturday night 6-3, 4-3. Those were a couple of the best games, maybe except for the starts that the Senators have played all year, and again showing that resilience that when they get into a spot like this where things aren't going great a week later, they're able to kind of turn things around because they can find that success out of almost nothing.
Yeah, that was the momentum carried forward too from the previous weekend in Bridgeport, where they came back from 2-0 down to win 3-2. So that was kind of that carry forward momentum that we talk about, and the Sens managed to pull out 2 really outstanding victories, and they dug down in deep. And Coach Dave Bell said after the first game, or after the game in Bridgeport too, that we'd rather not get in that kind of position, but you can come back if you can get in that spot and have to dig yourself out. And again, in a Manitoba building that is an NHL-size rink, home of the Winnipeg Jets as well, at Canada Life Center, and the Sens show that they're not intimidated whatsoever by it, and it seems like they've bought into that road warrior mentality this year because of the way that they played on the road. They haven't been too bad at home, but really it's been away from CAA Arena, where the Sens have made most of their bank this year. So, and it's unbelievable to think about all the guys that stepped up, and it was in the first game, it was 6 different goal scorers that found the net. Bourgault, Boucher, Cruikshank, Washkaruk, Pilon, and Halliday. So and of course a couple of them in the empty nets as well. So it was an unbelievable effort by the Sens on both nights to come back, and Malcolm Subban on the second night buckling down and winning an incredible game as well. So that was outstanding stuff, and again, the Sens have had a lot of good success against the Moose over the last few games of their history. And whenever you get to play a Canadian team in the AHL, it's always fun. And the Sens have had a chance to play 3 and have had some success against all 3. Toronto, Laval, Manitoba. They don't play Abbotsford. They don't play Calgary, obviously, being out west. So, it's almost like the Sens not necessarily get up for those games more than any others, but they certainly have the great effort and the attitude that says that they can go into a tough building like that and win against a team that's very well supported in the Moose. So 2 really good games, and balanced scoring really won the day, along with the goaltending buckling down too.
Yeah, both goaltenders, Malcolm Subban and Levi Merilainen, were pretty good last weekend. Again, they do enough to help the Senators stay in the game, and the offense did the rest. And that Winnipeg trip, that Manitoba trip, I think we talk about it every year. It's a tough one, and it's not looking for sympathy. It's not a sob story, etc. There's a lot of teams that fly more often. Manitoba's travel schedule alone is pretty difficult. But for a team like the Belleville Sens, where you're driving 2 hours to the airport in Toronto, you go through everything that you have to at the airport to fly. You land in Winnipeg. You're only there a day before, so you've got to unload and get settled. The time difference is only an hour, but I felt it. I can only imagine it impacts the players as well. It's not as easy of a trip as maybe it's made out to seem, just because it's in Canada and it's a quick flight and whatever else. It's tough to go out there and win both games, let alone come back in the fashion the Senators did.
Yeah, and jet lag too is a factor as well. With the hour difference, the jet lag, everything that goes on with that. It is more difficult than you'd think, but the guys shook their legs off and did an exceptional job of rebounding, and maybe that was felt in the first period of both games, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, it's not an excuse, but you have to kind of wonder or think about that kind of stuff. But again, it shows that they can come back both games, and they've done it with aplomb this year. And the Manitoba Moose are a really good team, too. You shouldn't forget some of the names on that team. Jared Anderson-Dolan scored on the weekend. That weekend, Chaz Lucius got back, scored his first of the year. Salmonson was out there a bit, doing really well. Tyrell Bauer got in that clash of the Titans with Boko Amama last year in that fight. CJ Cease, a veteran guy, you hear his name every year when the Sens play Manitoba. And then Thomas Milch, Capo Kakinen, 2 very capable goaltenders. Both of those guys really played well on the weekend. It wasn't at all to do with their play, but the Sens found a way to beat them in the crucial times, and at the end of the weekend resulted in 4 points and a couple wins posted. So it was key to find that. But as you'll hear a little down the line, you can't come back in every game, and when you're down by a couple goals early, you're not going to have to expect to come back every game, and that's what happened last weekend as well.
So that's the recap from Winnipeg. The short story is tough, gritty effort and enough scoring and goaltending to get the job done out there against the Manitoba Moose. The Moose return the favor here, I think, February. They come back to visit Belleville for their only stop in the friendly city this season. So if there's a Jets fan in your life that might want to check out their prospects, you can look ahead on the schedule to find out when the Moose are coming to town. Head to Ticketmaster.ca or BellevilleSens.com. Get your tickets for the Moose visits. Speaking of tickets and fans, we're recording episode 11 of Season 3 this morning on the 17th of December. It's a Tuesday morning, and we've got an open practice going on. So a bunch of fans in the building watching the guys go through the paces ahead of a couple matchups this weekend. On the road in Laval on Friday, and then home against the Springfield Thunderbirds, AHL affiliate of the St. Louis Blues, on Saturday for our holiday celebration game, and that'll send the boys into the Christmas break. More on that to come later on in the program. Again, if you like what you hear, toss us a rating and a review. Would be fantastic. And don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you're listening, because if you haven't noticed, sometimes the schedule gets busy and we don't always spit shows out as regularly as we would like to. So that's the housekeeping there as practice rolls on. A nice battle drill there. It's Philip Roos and Matt Highmore working hard out there. I love these open practices, Brock, to let the fans come in and kind of see the guys at work, right? The old adage that, championships are won when nobody's watching, and this is when the work is done, and it's really cool for fans to be able to get an inside look at the preparation of a pro hockey player on a daily basis.
Yeah, and it forces the guys to be just a little bit sharper when you're got people watching too. And I know some fans down there watching, some super fans too. Like I know there's one that comes to just about every game that's down there in an Igor Sokolov jersey, so that's outstanding stuff. And yeah, sure, it definitely helps with engagement for sure, because there's a lot of fans, especially some of the older folks or folks that are really big fans of the team that want to come down on one morning just to watch the guys practice and, like you say, go through the paces. It's good for engagement. It's good for getting people excited about the next game. And also it gives them a sense of what their strategies are too, because not often do you see an AHL team go through a whole big conglomerate of drills, and Coach Dave Bell putting them through the works as well. So it's really awesome to have this out here, and gets the fans also in touch with some of the staff here as well.
Speaking of practice, we're talking about practice. The World Junior teams from Sweden and Czechia are here at the Quinte Sports and Wellness Center starting their pre-tournament camps this week. Those practices are also open to the public on the Wally Dever Arena, and I believe it's the Mackey Insurance Arena. Today's the 17th, so you're probably not going to be able to make it out today. For the rest of the week, here's the World Junior practice schedule. Wednesday the 18th, Team Czechia is on the ice 10 to 11:30. On Thursday the 19th, Czechia is on from 10 to 11:30. The Swedes are on from 9:30 till 11. And then on Friday, 9:30 to 10:30 for Czechia, 2 to 4 p.m. for Sweden, so that might be your best chance to watch those teams in action. They both practice Saturday as well. We'll have those times up at BellevilleSens.com here by the end of the day today as well, so you can plan your week and see if you're able to make it out to watch those practices. And of course, our World Junior pre-tournament game between Sweden and Germany comes up on Monday the 23rd. There might be a few tickets left for that one. They are going fast. We recapped you on Manitoba. We'll get you caught up on what was not a great week last week, but a fun one nonetheless. We celebrated the Teddy Bear Toss and our Belleville Bulls Tribute Night. So that's all coming up on this episode of the Belleville Sens podcast on the Belleville Sens Entertainment Network.
They're bringing you lots of hockey joy this December. Come out and holiday cheer for your Belleville Senators.
Forced to the right side, Bowers took it away, Reese took it back, feeds Zabrango with a shot, score!
Saturday, December 21st, 7 p.m. Your Sens play the Springfield Thunderbirds, AHL affiliate of the St. Louis Blues, for the holiday celebration game. Presented by McDowell's Independent Grocer. Last home game before Christmas. More info at BellevilleSens.com. Happy Hockey Days!
Go, Sens, go!
Episode 11 of Season 3 of the Belleville Sens podcast continues during our open practice here at CAA Arena on December the 17th, 2024. 2 games left before the holiday breather. I won't really call it a break because it's like 3.5 days, I think, for the boys, but they'll get a chance to catch their breath and hopefully for some of them, get home to see some family. If not, good time for team bonding here in the friendly city as we get set to flip the calendar to 2025 in a couple of weeks. And a really busy stretch for the Senators here over the holiday period. Coming up this weekend, they're in Laval for a Friday night contest against the Rocket. Home against Springfield on Saturday. Again, that's the AHL affiliate of the St. Louis Blues. Their only visit to Belleville is coming up on Saturday. It's our holiday celebration game. And after that, Boxing Day in Toronto as usual. Saturday the 28th, home to Toronto. And then Tuesday, December 31st is our New Year's Eve Kids Countdown, a 3 p.m. matinee. That's going to be a whole lot of fun against the Utica Comets. So 2 games to go before Christmas, but 5 before the New Year. And of those 5 games, 4 of them are inside the division, and they're all pretty important.
Yeah, absolutely they are, and they're against key teams, too, that they're chasing. You got Laval, Toronto in there a couple times, and then the Utica Comets with a little bit of Springfield mixed in as well. So the T-Birds are an interesting opponent because the Sens only play them twice a year, and the next time they play them is, I think, in April. So that makes it a little bit more difficult to try and plan out, but at the same time, just throw your best out there and see what you have, and see if you can't try and earn 2 points. But Laval is going to be a particularly good one. Haven't seen them a couple times this year. They bring a lot of talent, a lot of skill to the table, but they're not afraid to get a little physical as well. And their goaltending is outstanding. And Connor Hughes and Jakub Dobesh, they were both really good netminders the last time they were here. In fact, they were here 3 times in November. And seeing them up close and personal for 2 games, it just goes to show what kind of opponent they really are. It was 2 one-goal games. Laval battled back from 3 goals, or 1 goal down 3 times, and then won in a shootout. And then Belleville came back from 2 goals down to win 3-2. So that pretty much stabilized and foreshadowed what was to come for the Sens the next several games after. But the Laval Rocket, really well-balanced club. You got Owen Beckley in the offense. You got Xavier Simoneau leading the offense. It's a real balanced group, and among many others too. Can't forget. But the Sens have shown they can beat Laval, and they on the road too, coming back from being down a couple goals. So it tends to be a pattern now, and of course you don't want to get too far into that pattern, but showing that they can be resilient and dig deep and come back is outstanding. But they're going to need to be sharper, because Laval, having had that happen to them twice, it's not going to be 3rd time's the charm. They're going to stabilize things, and they got one of the best home crowds, I think, in the AHL, not just in the North, but in the entire AHL. So the Sens, of course, they've been good in front of big crowds before, though, and they'll find a way to battle and get points, and they know they got a late night trip too up ahead too. So they getting 2 points would be huge for them against the Laval Rocket. It goes without saying.
Yeah, and we'll get into this weekend's games coming up in a little bit. Again, Friday night, as Brock says, in a tough building in Laval. Made tougher because that team has been playing some really good hockey this season. And then back home Friday against Springfield. Tickets for the Friday game available now at Ticketmaster.ca, or head to BellevilleSens.com for details on our holiday packs, group offerings, premium seating, and more. We do have to talk about last weekend and last week, even though there's a lot that we maybe would like to ignore, forget about, or just pass over completely. But let's start with the win last week. That was on Wednesday at home against the Syracuse Crunch, a team that's frankly been one of the only opponents to really give the Senators fits this season, and that's been the most challenging for Belleville to play against. And the Crunch come in here, and the Senators end up holding them off 2-1. Very, I think, prototypical game between those two teams. They'll grind you down. They'll beat you along the walls. Neither are, obviously with no disrespect, are full of high-end firepower top to bottom through the lineup. These are teams that both have to work really hard to get the job done, and that's exactly what type of game we saw on Wednesday. Yeah,
100%, and it was a true defensive battle, and it was whoever blinked first won, and that's what happened with the Belleville Sens. It was Syracuse that blinked, and it was 2 goals in the second period. In fact, all the scoring happened in the middle frame, but a nice rebound again. Belleville down by a goal this time, just 1. And they come back with 2, and it's Donovan Sabrango, the offense from the defense, leading the rush, or leading the attack, I should say. Nice long, low shot, too, that got through traffic, and that's kind of how you had to score a lot of your goals. That's the prototypical type of goal you got to score, either a long shot through heavy traffic, or a grind-em-out goal where you're working out of the boards and then just kind of slip it out in front and jam it home. But the second goal from Stephen Halliday, the game winner eventually, was pretty nice. Nice little move to the backhand and popping it top shelf on Brandon Halverson. And that's a goaltender that we talked about during the broadcast, has one of the best goals against averages and save percentages in the league. The former Sioux Greyhound in the Ontario Hockey League. And the Sens found a way to sear through that wall, that brick wall, or that invisible bubble on the Syracuse side, and they found a way to win. And Dave Bell actually had some pretty high words for the guys' performance afterwards, saying that was the best game overall in terms of overall effort of the year. Held Syracuse to just 16 shots. That's huge. And no matter what type of game it is, no matter what the opponent is, what time of year it is, holding the team to 16 shots, especially one that has beat you a bunch already this year, is nothing short of spectacular, and a sublime effort overall for the Sens on Wednesday.
That was a season low shots against for the Belleville Sens as well, and at that point, that's 5 wins in a row. It's a clamp-down defensive performance. It's scored just enough to win and keep any points out of the hands of a divisional opponent, and you think you're rolling, and then Friday hits, and the Rochester Americans come in, and, I mean, this is another team that's been extremely good, and they were firing on all cylinders heading into the week last week, and Belleville basically just couldn't get enough offense going. Rochester scores 7 on Friday. They score 8 on Saturday, and the offense just wasn't there to match up to the firepower. Let's maybe start with that, and then we can get into some of the other facts from the weekend.
Yeah, reality set in pretty fast for the Belleville Sens. Great defensive performance on Wednesday. Gave way to 15 goals in 2 games, and there's no sugarcoating it. That's not going to cut it in the North Division, especially against a really good Rochester Americans team that can beat you with finesse and skill. And Buffalo Sabres affiliate, and like we talked about too, David, during the broadcast, some of these guys probably should be in Buffalo right about now. Isak Rosé and Lucas Rushek. Victor Neutchev had a good weekend. He had a couple goals on Saturday. And Brett Murray, too, former Penn State Nittany Lion, Carleton Place Canadian in the CCHL. So
he's been outstanding.
He has been. Yeah, he is huge too. Like he is more ways than one. He's a huge presence on that Rochester team. Outstanding stuff from the Amherst, but and it wasn't a bad Friday game for most of it. But again, 7 goals, of course, is going to itch at the coaching staff a little bit, and they got to go back to the video and see what really went wrong in terms of breakdowns and situational play. But you also got to give Rochester full credit. They were incredible on the weekend, and especially on Saturday. And you could tell it was going to start a little bit awkward for the Sens when there was that 5-on-3, 2 goals, pretty close together from the Rochester Americans. Belleville did answer back nicely, though, thanks to Cole Reinhardt. It was a nice little goal he scored to send the crowd into a frenzy, the capacity, 4,200 plus into frenzy, and get excited for a goal after coming back from Ottawa, too, and he had a great game on Saturday as well. But, it was tough, and there's no sugarcoating it, and now here at practice, maybe a little bit extra, battling, extra grinding, and more guys that have an opportunity to develop and try and see what exactly went wrong, pick up the pieces. Again, there's no sense in getting down on themselves. They just got to battle, and they certainly did that against Rochester, just not nearly enough. And that second period, too, on Saturday really broke things open. But it was a tough weekend, but the Sens are a team that, if nothing else, they've shown they can rebound well. So I got to think they're going to be a hungry, probably ticked-off team going into Laval on Friday.
Yeah, and I'm not laying the losses against Rochester on the goaltenders, but goaltending was a factor. It had to be. You got Matt Sogard coming back Friday night, his first game since, late October, and the Sens give up a 2-man advantage, like you said, in the opening minutes, and that's going to be tough for anybody, let alone a goalie who hasn't played in 2.5 months. It just kind of looked to me like a guy who was getting back into the swing of things, and I can't remember the last time that both goaltenders had to play on back-to-back nights. It was just that kind of weekend where the rebounds were falling right on the opposition sticks, or there was a number of occasions where Levy makes 2 fantastic saves, can't stop the third one. Just one of those weekends, I think. And let's remind ourselves there are 50 games left in the American Hockey League season. You're going to have bumps in the road. As Dave Bell told us, you're not going to win them all. And, again, to go back to the old quote book, it's not about if you fall, it's about how you get back up and what you do after that. So I think that's the point the Senators are at right now.
Yeah, it's all about learning, too, and sometimes, it sounds a little cliche, too, but you learn better from a loss than you do from a win.
Sure.
And, learning from these types of games where you allow 15 goals in 2 is absolutely important, and it shows what you got to do to rebound, and what they have to do is find, ways to plug those holes, because there were a few of them, but Rochester, again, you got to give them credit, too. They found those holes. They exploited them, and in the end, Matt Sogard and Levy Marilyn having to play on both nights. Both Both starters were pulled, and that's usually never a good sign. But again, I mean, never want to lose that bad any time of the year. But at this point, you get them out of the way now so that maybe come the new year, you're not still thinking about it and still having it run through your head and be struggling. But Mads and Levy, we know what kind of goalies they're capable of being. So, Levy getting a chance to be brought up to Ottawa too, which is very good news for him. So Malcolm Subban still sticking with it, and him and Mads are a pretty good pair as him and Levy were over the course of Sogard's injury. So.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that tandem kind of changes with Levy up with the Ottawa Senators. Malcolm Subban, we'll hear from him coming up in our next segment. We'll talk a little bit about the fun we had last week with our Belleville Bulls Tribute Night, and we also had our teddy bear toss. So we raised a bunch of food for the Gleaners Food Bank last week as well. So we'll chat about all of that. We'll hear from Malcolm. We'll hear from some of the alumni who were hanging out around CAA Arena last weekend, the Belleville Bulls alumni, that is. And then we'll continue to get you set for a couple more games here this weekend against the Laval Rocket, Friday on the road, and at home against Springfield on Sunday. More on that to come as Season 3, Episode 11 of the Belleville Sens podcast rolls on.
Looking for a top-shelf Christmas present? Give your family the ultimate power play, a Belleville Senators holiday pack. This pack includes 4 game tickets and 2 complimentary Belleville Senators scarves, starting at just $100. Belleville Sens holiday pack is available for most remaining home games this season. You'll be the Christmas MVP. For holiday packs, group experiences, and more, visit BellevilleSens.com and be part of the team.
Season 3, Episode 11 of the Belleville Sens podcast continues. The Sens on the ice for their open practice. The fans are trickling in to take a look at the guys hard at work for a couple of games this weekend. In Laval on Friday, home against Springfield on Saturday for our holiday celebration game. And you can be here for that one. Just head to Ticketmaster.ca or BellevilleSens.com. Get yourself set up. And again, Friday night in Laval, Saturday at home, Boxing Day in Toronto, and then December 28th against the Marlies and December 31st against the Comets, all at home. Lots of time over the holiday season to see the Sens in action, and as Brock and I have been saying, they've played some pretty good hockey, all things considered. We ignore last weekend a little bit. We move on from it, and it's been exciting times. Belleville's still only 6 points out of first place in the North Division coming into the week this week, so plenty of runway left.
Absolutely, and you just got to keep taking it a week at a time, and just keep finding ways to battle through and get much coveted points. And the fact that they can get beat 2 games in a row on the weekend at home and still be 6 points out of first, not a bad situation to be in at all. Certainly it could be in far worse scenarios like what Utica was earlier in the year. But they're a team that's going to be hungry as well, and they've won about 5 or 6 games now. So
I think they won 5 in a row, and then they've been skidding again since then. But
so they go in surges, and but they're a team that you never can take them for granted. You can't take anybody in the AHL for granted, not on this side of the ledger, not on the other side. It's so difficult to win in professional hockey, and the Sens have proven a 5-game winning streak they went on is pretty impressive. But now back-to-back losses, they got to find a way to get back here against the Laval Rocket and Springfield Thunderbirds. And like I say, Springfield, an interesting team that has a lot of depth as well. So
yeah, they certainly are. We'll get into this weekend's games coming up in our final segment of the show. On this segment, we wanted to talk a bit about our Belleville Bulls Tribute Night presented by Mackey Insurance this past week. Again, the score irrelevant. It's more about the event and the occasion and what the night meant for hockey fans here in Belleville proper and in the greater Quinte region as the home to an OHL team for over 30 years. And we put the banner up. We unveiled the new goal horn. We had a bunch of alumni back. It turned out to be, again, the results on the ice aside, I think a really successful night and something I think the fans were really happy to be a part of.
For sure, and to hear that that goal horn is permanent is unbelievable because I'm sure that's what people were itching for and eager to hear. And to hear that go off a couple times, at least on Saturday, was just almost surreal. Like you never would have expected that to ever make an appearance. And I said before with the gold jerseys a couple years ago, the black jerseys this year, I never thought I'd see the day that those jerseys were ever worn by anybody again, let alone a team in Belleville like the Senators. And the staff has done an incredible job of really putting those two nights together and getting some of the alumni back, the old faces, the old names, and people that have a special place in a lot of people's hearts here in the friendly city. Guys like Ryan Ready.Justin Papineau, Lou Crawford, the head coach. Of course, he's the Crawfords are basically like royalty here in Belleville.
Yeah.
But you got Randy Rowe too, who's still around. He's coaching with the Trenton Golden Hawks and the Red Devils. You got Tyler Longo, who's with the Golden Hawks. So there's guys that have stuck around. It's not like they've because I know. Longo is from around here, but also Randy Rose from outside the area, and he came back. He came here to stay after his career ended as well, of course. And also Rick Bertrand back, former big defenseman, stay-at-home guy. So Jason Lawmaster and other the list goes on. And there were still even a few guys that fans maybe were a little disappointed that they didn't see. Guys like Jonathan Chichu and Corey Campbell and guys like that. But, again, they still hold a special place in a lot of people's hearts, and I bet a lot of people were wanting to look up that roster again. I know for me it was memory lane, too, going back and seeing all the old names on there and the success that team had. It's incredible stuff, and hats off to everybody here at the Sens for putting this on. This is incredible.
And we have to give a big thanks as well to the fans, for coming out and showing the interest in making that event worthwhile. We also have to thank Aaron Bell for helping us with a lot of the footage and the media stuff that we needed. And we also have to thank Bruce Mackey for his help in engaging the alumni, because without him, we wouldn't have been able to get all of those folks back and to celebrate properly, so to speak. So that was an amazing night, and we wanted to connect you guys in case you were either in the building and didn't listen or weren't able to listen with some of the interviews that we had. So we're going to run through a few of those. Tim Durkin was our man on the streets, our roving reporter on Saturday night, and was able to catch up with a handful of former players and staff. So over this next run, we're going to hear from Ryan Ready, and we're going to hear from Justin Papineau, who was the MVP and very coolly was presented for the first time with that 99 Gretzky Award, the OHL's playoff MVP trophy, at center ice on Saturday night, because he never got that trophy presented to him in 99 when he won. We'll also hear from Lou Crawford, who was the head coach at the time, and Malcolm Subban didn't end up playing, but he was here in the building with his family. Karl was here as well, and Tim was able to catch up with him for just a couple minutes to just talk about what this city means to the Subban family, just like we've spent a lot of time in the last few weeks talking about what that family means to this city. So let's start off with Ryan Ready, the captain of that 99 team for the Belleville Bulls, as they won their only Ontario Hockey League championship, and we celebrated that milestone, that occasion, here this past weekend at CAA Arena. Tim Durkin with Ryan Ready on the Belleville Sens podcast.
With the captain of the 1998-99 Belleville Bulls, Ryan Ready. I'll tell you the story. You guys got me hooked on hockey. I remember it was a game between you guys in Ottawa that year, and you guys scored with just a few seconds left in the home game. You went on to win the game in overtime, and of course, you went on to win the series from there. I wanted to ask you, just looking back, does it feel like it's been 25 years?
No, it doesn't. Every time I kind of come back to Belleville, it just brings back memories and feels like I never really left. When you have a great team and a great group of guys, those memories are a lifetime. So when you come back to a place like this, it comes back, it floods back, and it doesn't feel as long as it is right now.
When you first go away for junior hockey, it's kind of not, it's a trial by fire, because you still have to do the academics. You're away from the family. You're living with a new family. Tell me about settling into Belleville, the billet parents, Dr. Vaughn, and everything that was kind of part of that group.
Yeah, right away when we come in, the Vaughn family is amazing. Right from the barbecue when I got drafted, they made you feel welcome. My parents felt comfortable. I felt comfortable. So when I came to training camp, it was a fairly easy transition. My billet family was great. I lived with Dickie Howe. He was amazing and helped me. He was a teacher at the school, so that part was taken care of. And obviously, he was really supportive on and off the ice. Obviously, I came here at 16 and left when I was 20, and once you get accustomed to the city, the community, the billet families, after your first year, it just seems to be an easy process after that.
There was two pretty dominant teams in the regular season. I believe it was Barrie, Ottawa, and they had the statistics, but you guys scored 114 goals in that playoff run. It was like 5.5 goals a game you averaged. What was it? What kind of flipped? Was there a switch that changed, or was there a belief that you guys had in each other?
Well, we had Justin Papineau. I think he had almost 50 points in the playoffs. He had a great playoffs that year, and obviously without his play and the play of obviously our whole team played well, but Justin and Cheech and all those guys really came into their own in that playoff run, and that seemed to be the difference maker really with those good teams. Is Justin seemed to get goals when we needed it, or Chichu would get goals, or we'd get timely scoring from a bunch of the other guys. So it just seemed that the group kind of gelled at the right time, and then we hit the playoffs running, and it just continued from there.
You were the leader of that team. You were the guy that, were you a silent leader? Were you a guy that spoke up in the room, or was that another guy's role?
Yeah, I don't know. I was one of the older guys on the team, and I had been around a while and had a bunch of different experience, and it was kind of easier for me to lead the way. I tried to work as hard as I could and lead by example. However, when things needed to be said, I wasn't scared to say it, but we had a lot of leaders on that team and a lot of great people and players, so it was easy.
You guys lost you're up 3-1, you lose game 5, you lose game 6. Was there, I know you don't expect to score 9 goals in every game, but was there ever a doubt or a nervousness, or when you guys came out for game 7, did you know it was yours to have?
I don't know. Every time you play game 7, you never know how it's going to go, but it just seemed that was our night. London had a great team, and we just kind of jumped on them early, and obviously Jonathan Chichu had a great game. I think he had 5 goals that game, and he kind of just everything he was kind of doing seemed to work, and we kind of got up on them early, and it was it was better than a tight game, I'll tell you that.
You look back at it, and 25 years, as you get older, that time seems to speed up a little bit. When you think back to 25 years, is there one thing that you'll take away, or is it, would it be the friendships? Is it the community? Is it kind of just a combination of the whole time here?
Yeah, I really enjoyed my time here. I played with a lot of great players. I played for great coaches. The community was amazing. The way they welcomed me in here and looked after me and took care of me. Those are all the memories that go a long way and make it seem like it had the 25 years hasn't been that long.
All right, there's Ryan Ready, the captain of the 1998-99 Belleville Bulls, one of those guys that hung around locally and is always happy to share those memories and talk about that season. I mean, who wouldn't be, frankly, with an achievement like that?
That's right? a lot of great memories, and he's a guy that came here at 16, was from Peterborough, came here in 95, 96, and you heard it in the interview. He lived with one of the sporting greats here, one of the sporting builders here, Dick Howe, as a billet, and he said Belleville was his second home, and it became like a true hometown for him, which was incredible. And those are the kinds of things, on the ice, people see him play for a couple hours on a Saturday night or a Wednesday night, And they may meet them at community events and whatnot, but in the public eye, you got a guy like Ryan Ready that loved this city so much, and he loved this the old Bulls team, and he was a true guy that had a lot of love for his teammates. We would go to the wall for them. He would throw everything at the wall if it meant to win. He got to win a hockey game or scored big goals. He was a true leader on and off the ice. And you add on to the on ice and community stuff. The fact that this guy is back here for pretty much every Bulls event that happens ever since the team left. That shows you how much he cared and how much this city and that Bulls team and all of his teammates meant to him. And it's amazing how time flies as well, because almost 10 years later, his son is born, who is it? Declan Ready, who plays now for the Cobourg Cougars in the OJHL. So he's a hockey guy. Ryan's obviously busy with him and seeing how his career blossoms and develops. It's amazing to think that he was just a 16-year-old kid coming in here in the mid-'90s. By the end of the '90s, he was an OHL champion, went to the Memorial Cup as a 21-year-old. And so many years later, he's in his 40s. His kid is old enough to play junior hockey now, which is just mind-boggling to me. And me being 3 years old, as we talked about in the broadcast, seeing him raise that trophy, unbelievable memories. And he was one of those guys that gave me and plenty of other hockey fans, longtime fans in Belleville, a lot of happiness and a lot of joy. And it's all thanks to him. But what a clutch player and what a unbelievable guy Ryan Ready is.
And an outstanding season for him that year, of course. Yep. Maybe perhaps bested by our next guest, who was the MVP of the OHL playoffs that season. Justin Papineau had 99 points in the regular season, 99 points in 68 games. He went on to score 51 points, including 21 goals in 21 playoff games on that run to the OHL Championship. Again, he was presented with that MVP trophy here before the game on the weekend, because he hadn't before. And what more can you say about what a cog in the wheel Justin Papineau was for the Belleville Bulls that season, and frankly his entire career as a member of the Bulls?
Yeah, almost 100 points during the season. You mentioned 51 in the playoffs. That is staggering total. Yeah, it's unbelievable stuff from Justin Papineau. But the funniest part is, having read different things about the Bulls. Aaron Bell, I know, did an outstanding job of chronicling the Bulls' history in the past at 25 years, and with the 99 championship video as well. You got to give a shout out to him. He got all that put out. He got Justin on there, and you could just still see the pride in his face whenever he talks about that particular run and his whole time here in Belleville. But the thing is, there was a possibility that he wouldn't play for Belleville, because initially in the OHL draft, he said he only wanted to play for his hometown Ottawa 67s and Brian Kilray originally, which made things very interesting. The fact that it ended up his career kind of didn't culminate, but it was one big moment of the Memorial Cup in Ottawa. And, he initially wasn't sure about whether he wanted to play in Belleville or not. But lo and behold, 1996, he's drafted to Belleville in the first round, comes to the friendly city, and again, much like Ryan Ready, not here originally, but fell in love with the city, and still has a lot of positive thoughts and comments about the Bulls and the city of Belleville and this Quinte region as a whole. But an incredible run he went on. He was here from 96 to 2000, so he was leading on that 99-2000 team, kind of took over Ryan Ready's role after that big run he went on in 99. Had another pretty good season in 99-2000, and that's where he ended his career before going off to play in the NHL and the AHL briefly as well. So, one of those guys that just lit up the rink every time he had the puck in his stick. He every time he was out there skating, he wasn't the fastest skater, but he had some of the sharpest hands that I think a lot of people have seen. And he's a guy that was pure offense. And Lou Crawford, credit to him, let him play the game the way he wanted to. He wasn't about to tell him to just strictly play D or just strictly be a third line grinder type guy. No, he said, "You're an offensive guy. We're going to let you flourish offensively." And Justin Papineau certainly did. And talk about letting the reins loose. 51 points in 21 games in the OHL playoffs in 99. One of the big reasons why the Bulls ended on top of the league that year.
Absolutely. 267 AHL games, as Brock mentioned, with the Blues organization and the now-defunct Worcester Ice Cats, with the Islanders and the Bridgeport Sound Tigers, as they were named,
yep.
and about 30 games or so with the Lowell Devils as well. Justin Papineau, the 1999 OHL playoff MVP, is our next guest on the Belleville Sens podcast, with Tim Durkin, I should add.
With Justin Papineau, wanted to go back. Obviously, people always don't get recognized for the whole career, but there's certainly highlights. Where does that 99 Game 7, that whole run that you guys had, where does that kind of rank in the career?
Yeah, I mean, it ranks right up there, you know, with a couple of things in Europe, and you know, that one's one to remember, right? It was I thought we were going to close them off a lot earlier, and then we had to come back to home, and you know, we had to figure it out real quick, and you know, we were able to pull it off right on an epic game.
What was the community like? Because my story of that night is I drove around with my mother in Belleville just to listen to it on radio because we couldn't get in. They set up the Wally Dever. What was this building like that night?
Oh man, you couldn't hear anything. You know, it was just loud, right? I bet you there was way over capacity. There was people everywhere, you know, hanging from every staircase they possibly could. It was a great atmosphere. The fans were crazy, and it just made us more motivated to win that game, right? For them, you know, it had been a while since, I don't know, or ever, right? And you know, it was just a game that was fun to be part of.
You had 99 points in the regular season that year. You got the 99 trophy tonight. I know you had said you've seen it before, but there was something about that year that just seemed to be special. Then 150 points, including the playoffs. That was pretty cool too.
Yeah, it was just when you look back at it, right? The 99 Wayne Gretzky Award, like 99, all that happened at once, right? And it just seemed to, like I said, there was everything seemed to after that, you know, after being cut from World Juniors, seemed to kind of click. You know, I was kind of on a mission to prove that I can play and be one of the top players, right? And it just rolled right into the playoffs, and we were, you know, we gelled as a team after Christmas, and it was incredible.
What was it like to see the guys back here tonight? I know some guys you probably talk to every day or every few weeks, but what is it like to see the group that's here tonight?
Yeah, it was awesome. It's awesome always coming back here and reminiscing about the old times, right? And like the buildings changed, but you know, the memories didn't, right? So it was great to see those guys and catch up.
Right, there's Justin Papineau, and again, just to finish a quick thought, it was really cool to see him get presented with that trophy. I'm sure, you know, it's 25 years later, but that's got to mean something to him, I would think.
Yeah, I would think so, yeah, because of the fact that he was the only one out of the winners of that trophy that didn't actually get it because they were still making it. They still had to get the 99 all situated just right on the top of the trophy.
Well, and if you watch the video from the presentation, like there was so much chaos and commotion around him, like Dave Branch kind of just passed him off this plaque. It was just like, here you go, quick plaque and a photo, and that was it. There was no pomp and circumstance. It seemed like it was kind of rushed at the moment a little bit, so really cool for him to get that. You mentioned Lou Crawford in your comments before that interview. He's our next guest, and then we'll hear from Karl Subban briefly. I know it's been a long talk block here, but we got to hear from the coach. You got to hear from the guy who led the team to its best year in franchise history, to its only league championship, and a guy that we see all the time because now he's scouting for the Vancouver Canucks, Lou Crawford, and I bump into him obviously here at CAA Arena all the time. But I think, you know, if I visited, say, 15 rinks in the American Hockey League, I've probably bumped into Lou in 13 of them over the years. He is all over the place. He was kind enough to adjust his schedule so he could be here because he had told me, well, I can be scouting in San Jose or I'll come to Belleville to see you guys play Rochester.
Easy choice.
And be a part of that, right? And
easy choice.
On a night like that, it certainly was. But what a guy. Well, let's get to the interview, and then we'll chat a bit about Lou Crawford on the other side. The Belleville Sens podcast continues as we reminisce on our Belleville Bulls Tribute Game last weekend.
Belleville Senators hockey with the coach of the 1999 Belleville Bulls, 1998-99 Belleville Bulls, Lou Crawford. You're Belleville. You're Mr. Belleville. I mean, you've seen it from before the team to after. Did you know you had a special team that year?
Actually, you know, for me to sit here and say yes, we did, and I knew it from the looking, you know, through the big magic ball would be a complete lie. But the development and progression that you've seen from the individual characters that we had off the ice, who made this year special, it kind of grew on the guys that actually were on the ice and played the games. So as the season went on, we went through an awful pile of different things. And at probably around Christmas, I said to myself, this is a team that has a chance to push for a title. And, it was tough. We got there, and it was very nerve-wracking. But after that first Jonathan Chichu goal, of the 5 that he scored that night, it was pretty special. It was a relief.
Louis, I wanted to ask you about that playoff run. 4-0, 4-1, 4-1. You guys were cruising. London was that first real pushback. You're driving back on the bus after Game 6, one that they whipped Belleville pretty good. Was there nerves, or was that constant belief there, or was it just kind of spikes all over the place?
Yeah, I think the belief was always there that we could do it, but we knew that, sort of like when you go into a pond and you think there's something on the bottom, and a rock or something,
right,
and you go 3 feet into the muck, and that's the kind of feeling that we thought, or at least I did anyways, is what did we just get ourselves into? Let's find a way out. But the support was the big, huge factor, and I will say that to my dying day. The people of Belleville came to our rescue because we needed that, and it started right from, we could hear this, the excitement in the building before they even went out. And it was just kind of like letting cattle loose. I just said, boys, there it is. Time to go show your stuff. So hats off to them.
Now you've worked professional hockey for a lot of years. What is it like? There's the devastation of the team going in 14, but to see what it's replaced with, to see professional hockey here, and your family had a lot to do with that. To bring this team here and to see this night and to see this team here, what does it mean for Belleville? What does it mean for the Crawford family?
Well, I think it means a lot because my father, God rest his soul, loved the game, and he fell in love with it back in Toronto when he kind of went out to a field and he saw these people just moving on frozen ice. And he, what the heck is this? What is this called, hockey?
Yeah.
And he fell in love with it, and it's contagious. He brought it back it was in our family every night. We'd talk about, not every night, but we talk hockey and strategies and all the rest of that stuff. But it means a lot to have an American Hockey League franchise here in our small community, and I do, because there's a lot of bigger populations that have 200, 400,000 people, and they don't really appreciate what they have. But Belleville, it's an opportunity to see young stars that are learning what pro hockey is all about. They need to know what the pro habits are all about, what it takes to, show up, work out, all the rest of that. A good example would be Drake Batherson, who spent some time here and learned the ropes of how to do it in the National Hockey League. And now he's a star up there. And there's a couple of other guys that this is the breeding ground. This is the farm. This is where you get to appreciate at a good price, in my opinion, to kind of see these people come in and develop their skills, hone what they do best. They're not all first-round draft picks. They're not all stars. There's guys that need to play fourth line, guys that shovel the crap,
Sure.
Yeah, garbage men, I call them. And without the garbage, it would be an awful pile of rats in the front of your house if you just left it there. So I think it's great, and I hope the community embraces it and before it's gone.
All right, so there's Lou Crawford, former coach of the Belleville Bulls, now scouting for the Vancouver Canucks. One of my favorite guys to see around the rink, and what a job he did with that team in 98-99.
Yeah, 39 wins during the regular season, and then, of course, another 16 in the playoffs, and a 99 run that still lives on in a lot of people's minds. There's been a lot of good seasons the Bulls have had, and in fact, Lou, in his 3 seasons as head coach of the Bulls, earned at least 30-plus wins in every season, won a playoff round in every season, at least one. Won one in 98, of course, went all the way in 99 to the title in the Memorial Cup, and then won a couple in 2000 as well, before going off to St. John's Maple Leafs of the AHL, as a matter of fact, in Newfoundland back then. But Lou Crawford is, a big name, and anybody that thinks of hockey in Belleville and the Quinte region thinks of Lou and Floyd, and Mark, and Mike, Bobby, all those guys. Eric, too. Eric, I've seen him pop
He's
around a
scouting
bit,
for the
too.
Habs, yeah,
with
so he's
Montreal.
around all the time as well.
Yeah, which is goes to show just the kind of effort that the Crawford put in there. They'll be all over, jet setting all over the world if they want to for hockey, and it's outstanding stuff. And Lou was a pretty solid guy, a pretty solid coach, and got a lot out of that team. They were pretty good in the first half of that 98-99 year, but it was a loss at home to the Barrie Colts in mid-January that seemed to spark the tide turning. 12 consecutive victories the Bulls went on from January 20th to February 22nd that year. 12 straight. That was a franchise record as well, and that was kind of the nucleus of the whole run, was that block of time right there, that whole month where it was just win all the way around, and it was all thanks to Lou and his pushing the right buttons. He brought his team out on team bonding trips, he did. I heard from Aaron Bell in his old book, 25th anniversary book, that he would take his team out to movies or paintballing or doing all sorts of different things to get the guys all sparked up, and in the end, it was a 12-game winning streak that got them rolling. They never lost consecutive games. They only lost consecutive games once. The whole rest of the season after that 12-game winning streak, because they were coming off a 3-game losing skid, 12-game winning streak, and then they lost 2 in a row, games 5 and 6 of the OHL final against London. Never lost consecutive games other than that, which was incredible stuff. It seemed like that team was a team on a mission, and getting the unit all banded together and molded into one was Lou Crawford. And he's a younger guy, too, and him and Fred Boymastruck, the assistant coach, had a good good cop, bad cop kind of routine, and it resulted in a great run for the Bulls that year.
Yeah, the players loved him then. Everybody else loves him now, and thanks again to Lou for chatting with Tim. Our last interview, it's a short one. It's only about a minute and a half, but again, Malcolm Subban didn't play on Bulls night, and I know there were a lot of people disappointed about that, Malcolm included, us included, but as we know, this is a development league. This is a league where timing is everything, and unfortunately, with Matt Sogard getting healthy at just the right time for him, it kept Malcolm out of the games on the weekend, but he was here with his family. He was here with his parents, and Tim was able to catch up with his dad, Karl, who's just an incredible man and has done such a good job raising those kids. But as much as we've talked about what the Subbans mean to Belleville and to the hockey community here, you'd be surprised to hear the kind of impact that the city has had on that family as well. So here is Karl Subban, our last interview from our Belleville Bulls Tribute Night on the Belleville Sens podcast.
Karl Subban, I mean, when we think of hockey families, we think of the Crawfords, we think of the Hulls, we think of the Subbans. To see this and see what the Senators have been doing, and to have Malcolm back as part of it, just what's it like being back?
When you mentioned some great names there when you talk about hockey families, but when you talk about hockey cities, come on, Belleville is right at the top of my list. My 3 boys were drafted here, and the city and the Belleville Bulls gave them an opportunity to do what every human being on earth want to do, and that is to live their dream.
Yeah.
And Malcolm's here still living out that dream, and PK continues to live another dream through that dream.
Yeah.
He was able to realize in Belleville. Walking in tonight, I took about 6 steps, and I saw Jordan's picture on the wall. Belleville means more to me than I can express in words. From the Billet family, from the fans. I remember this one fan, he saw us one day, and he had a container of jerk chicken he made for the boys, Belleville gave us so much, and more than people can imagine, and I'm so thankful for it.
So again, there's Tim Durkin with Karl Subban, and you don't need a lot of time with Karl, A, to get to some great stories and some great quotes and some great insight, but B, to, prove exactly what we said before. That clip that this city means a whole lot to that family, and it is a hockey town. This is a place where the game has been alive at the highest levels for over 100 years, and that is recognized outside of the area as well.
Yeah, for sure, and it all started, it started way back, like you said, but also the McFarlands helping to put Belleville on the map with the Senior A championships, Allen Cup, and World Championships as well. Then there was a couple other Senior A teams. The Bobcats Junior B lit up the Memorial Arena for a few years. Then it was the Bulls. Then it was the Sens and all of that. So, and of course, the Quinte region, producing a lot of great players too.
Sure.
Not just even from the Bulls, but from the Red Devils and from other assorted teams around the area. So it's outstanding. And Karl, you could tell just in his voice how prideful he is to have his boys playing here. PK, Malcolm, and Jordan. And PK still gets brought up. His name is almost omnipresent in this rink. It's a big word for a big family, I should say, with a big personality. And Karl Subban, Malcolm, you can tell every time he talks about. He's not ever old or tired of talking about his time here in Belleville and his family's, because just brings a smile to his face. And he said it too in the plenty of times since he's come here. It's like deja vu. It's surreal seeing the green seats again, seeing the all the stuff on the walls, and seeing my brother's pictures and my pictures and all the other players that I used to see be teammates with. It's incredible stuff, and it's so amazing to have the Subans here, and hopefully Malcolm will be here for quite a long time to come.
We can hope for sure. He's certainly here now. Levi Marilainen called up to the NHL. We'll get you caught up on the rest of the transactions and set for the last two games before Christmas when we come back to Season 3, Episode 11 of the Belleville Sens podcast. Stay with us, back in just a moment.
They're bringing you lots of hockey joy this December. Come out and holiday cheer for your Belleville Senators.
Bumped by Gannett, puck loose there. Now at the side of the goal, a chop try by Daou. He scores!
Tuesday, December 31st, 3 p.m. Sens play Utica Comets, AHL affiliate of the New Jersey Devils, for the New Year's Kids Countdown. A family-friendly afternoon to ring in 2025. Kids Countdown during the game. More info at BellevilleSens.com. Happy Hockey Days.
Go, Sens, go!
Final segment of Season 3, Episode 11 of the Belleville Sens podcast. We appreciate you sticking through what turned into a pretty lengthy interview. Angus Crookshank handing out early Christmas gifts to the fans here at the open practice. Just tossed a twig up over to a young fan down there.
Yep, he's Santa Angus today.
And keep an eye on the Sens social media, etc., for more opportunities to check out the team at open practices. We've got a few more of these planned throughout the course of the season. And, of course, lots of opportunity to see the guys in action through the holidays. Starting on Friday night, we've got a matchup in Laval, so you can see that one on AHL TV on Flow Hockey or hear it on the Belleville Sens Entertainment Network. And then Saturday, we're back against the Springfield Thunderbirds. It's our holiday celebration game, and let's tee that one up first, Brock. A team that the Senators don't see a lot in the regular season, only twice, I believe, this year. I think we're only playing them once here and once down there. Sometimes we'll play them twice, but it's an unfamiliar opponent in the Springfield Thunderbirds. But another team that's kind of in a similar spot to Belleville. Like, they're not having a bad year per se. They've got points in 5 straight games. They're 8-1-1-0 in their last 10, but they're sitting in 6th place in the Atlantic Division right now. A division that maybe, thankfully for Belleville, they've had some good success against this year.
For sure, yes. Springfield is 12-9-2-0, 26 points in the season, 6 in the Atlantic. But, again, they're not that far away. They're 4 points out of 2nd place right now, which is occupied by Providence. But a little bit more gap atop the division with the Hershey Bears trying to go for a three-peat of Calder Cup championships. Springfield, they're a team that came here to Belleville last year. Belleville shut them out, but, of course, this is a different year now. But they got some pretty familiar names, some guys that really can light up the score sheet. Guys like Sam Bitton and former Bull Matt Luff is on there as well. Should note Tanner Dickinson as well. Matt Peck, another former Belleville Senator, and a pretty balanced attack on D, and not a splashy group of players really. Defensively led by veteran Scott Harrington and Corey Schuneman, as well as some youngsters like Tyler Tucker and Michael Pachinger and Colton Ellis, Vadim Zarenko, the goaltenders. Ellis has been a strong netminder for Springfield the last couple of years, but the Blues trying to replenish their AHL affiliate and keep themselves rolling as well. But Springfield, a competitive team that's not going to give you too many bad efforts. Again, they're not going to give you a whole ton of ice. They're going to stay tight to the line and keep you out. So, but Steve Konowalchuk, the head coach, was a pretty much a two-way guy. So that's pretty much what you're going to get from the Springfield team, a two-way group that will play very similar to that of the Belleville Sens, team that just grinds it out and relies on some strong goaltending to carry them through and defense as well. So. An interesting opponent and one that the fans here in Belleville don't see a whole lot of. So it's going to be exciting to see a different team in there as well.
Yeah, again, tickets for Saturday night's holiday celebration game at Ticketmaster.ca or BellevilleSens.com. Our holiday packs are on sale until New Year's Eve. That's 4 tickets, 2 Belleville Sens scarves at an excellent price. All the details at BellevilleSens.com. And again, if you're interested in flex packs, group outings, premium seating, all of that, you can head to BellevilleSens.com or fire off an email to tickets@BellevilleSens.com. So we kind of jumped ahead to the home game Saturday. We can't ignore the game in Laval on Friday. Divisional matchup, rivalry matchup, Friday night at Place Bell. It's always bumping. If the starts weren't great or haven't been for the Senators, that's certainly something that they'll have to remedy heading into Laval on Friday. And after that, I think they'll be fine. Belleville plays pretty well in that building, all things considered. And if you look at the season series with the Rockets so far this year, Sens are 2-1, 0-1. And all of the games have been decided by 1 or 2 goals. One of them went to a shootout. So you weathered that storm, so to speak, of the crowd early on in the game. Maybe get the first one for once would be nice, because the Sens are on a run of allowing the first goal of the game and see what you can do from there. It's certainly a winnable game, both winnable games for Belleville this weekend if they can get back to that form they were in maybe a week and a half or so ago. Yeah, for sure. And Belleville's played Laval a bunch already, which is it should give them a little leg up. They know how to beat them. Again, coming back a couple times to beat Laval, as we mentioned earlier. And this being Place Bell, like you say, of course, it's going to be intimidating as it always is. But Belleville, it shouldn't be a stranger to them at this point. They should know what to expect. There's going to be a lot of loud people, a lot of Rocket fans and Habs fans, because they've seen them here too. They've come parading into to CAA Arena and start trying to get a "Let's Go Rocket" chant going and have to get silenced out. So they know what to expect. They just got to block it out and keep their heads above water, keep their paces going, because they're a tough team and they're always gritty too. Like you got Florian Jackeye, and Lucas Condata was up in Montreal for a bit, but Laurent Dauphin, Vincent Arsenault, a rig up there, and but they mix it well with offense, and certainly a guy like Pascal Vincent's got all the buttons pushed, all the kinks worked out. 6 points separate Laval and Belleville, so it's not that far-fetched to think that Belleville could, catch Laval if they can string together a few more wins. But the only problem is Laval is shown itself capable of winning some big games as well. So, but one guy to watch for them, Owen Beck, of course, former Quinny Red Devil, former Peterborough Pete, a Memorial Cup champion in Saginaw. So a guy that has scored already here in Belleville this season. So, he's a game breaker type. He's a young guy, but he's got a lot of hype surrounding him, and Montreal Canadiens are hoping he's going to be one of their next big stars. So a guy to key in on, but of course, if you key in on him, you're going to leave other very capable players open, like Dauphin and Brandon Gignac, who scored earlier this year against Belleville, Barre Boulay as well. So keep that in mind, but should be a good night on Friday. If you're looking at areas to exploit for the Laval Rocket, they are the 3rd most penalized team in the American Hockey League, 364 PIMs through 26 games, behind just Milwaukee and Henderson. Belleville is the third least penalized team in the American Hockey League, only 250 PIMs. Now the Sens have played, 4 less games than Laval, so that obviously, changes the math, but point being, I think if the Sens can get pesky and get under the Rockets' skin a little bit, maybe force them into some undisciplined penalties, things like that, take advantage on the special teams, which have been really good for the Sens, generally speaking, throughout the course of the season. I think that's going to be a big piece for them heading into Laval. But again, like we said earlier, it's going to be the start. They've got to be ready to go from puck drop, bring everything they've got at the Rocket, try to recharge as much as possible on the ride home and in the morning the next night, and then replicate that against Springfield. Try to head into the holiday break on the right foot here.
Yeah, it'll be real happy days for them if they can pull it off. And at least try and split the weekend, but winning 3 or 4 points would be absolutely massive going into the break. Laval and Springfield, 2 really competitive teams, and they're both similar to Belleville, but of course Laval is a high-powered offensive unit that is hard to stop. And like you said, if they can get under their skin, push their buttons a little bit and, push them to the brink and start getting those top guys off their game, that'll be huge for their confidence and getting a couple of big victories against 2 teams that are really trying to ratchet up the standings as well. So Belleville knows Laval well, so there should be no surprises, no little spooks here and there. But Springfield, it's basically just going to be relying on video, relying on all sorts of different things to try and figure out what they can do to win. So I'm sure Dave Bell will have his guys all ready to go, and should be a real good weekend for the Sens.
Again, Friday night in Laval. We're on the air at 6:50 on the Belleville Sens Entertainment Network audio feed and on AHL TV on Flow Hockey. The Sens return home Saturday night. That is the 21st of December for our holiday celebration game against the Springfield Thunderbirds. Boxing Day in Toronto at Scotiabank Arena if you're in the city. And then back home to finish the calendar year. December 28th against the Marlies at 7 p.m. December 31st, our New Year's Eve Kids Countdown, a 3 p.m. start on New Year's Eve here at CAA Arena. One more reminder, our Belleville Bulls Tribute Night jersey auction is live until December 22nd. You can head over to BellevilleSens.com for that. Our holiday pack is available until New Year's Eve. 4 tickets and a couple Belleville Sens scarves. Again, all the info for tickets at BellevilleSens.com. Single games available at Ticketmaster.ca. That'll do it for us. Thanks again to Tim and all of our guests this week. Thanks to Brock and to you for listening. We'll leave you with this week's highlight of the week, a laser beam from Zach McEwen against Rochester on Friday night. Have a great week. We'll perhaps talk to you next week. If not, have a Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you sometime before the calendar flips.